40s house that we renovated completely because it had asbestos, it had knob and tube wiring, it had whatever. But when we did the renovation, we tried to be as green as possible because we have a geothermal system here. We have heat water, 3 wells are sunk into our backyard, so 100 feet down. We drain heat water recovery. We did a lot of little things inside the house, like we have a lot of our outlets, most of our outlets are on a switch in the wall, so we kill phantom power, like during the an all switch as it's called. Yeah, we stole the idea from one of the Minto homes back in Manitou, so it was like, why not? And it's with electricity at 10, 11 cents a kilowatt now in the peak periods, and we're not home during that time. It makes sense. One thing we weren't able to do right away was the solar power, but we planned ahead. We had a 3-inch PVC pipe through a chase, so from the roof down to our basement, so we knew we were going to do this. We talked to Peter at the time. We were thinking about solar hot water, but then when we came across a geothermal that not only gave us our heat and air conditioning, but also hot water, we thought, okay, no, we don't need it, but we're such a prime south location with no one beside us that we knew we wanted to do some solar. The loops themselves, I mean, overall the system was roughly 38,000.
We had a bunch of factors. There was it was a medium efficiency furnace, a broken chimney, and we waterproofed the basement, and it was all cedars and Norway maples. So there was like a whole bunch of factors that was like, well, we had to dig up the backyard anyways. We wanted to get rid of the furnace. The chimney came down, so it was more like a whole bunch of things. And the great thing that happened was it was a fixed price on drilling, and it took 5 days because they couldn't put in casing. So no matter how long it took, we paid one rate. So that was, they're like, nobody else is going to get that in this neighborhood because it took forever.
So who was the company that did
it was Behrend Energy. Yeah, so, and the solar panels went up October right after he was born. And I have a piece of paper with what we've made off of it. It was basically, it was $1,200 in 2011.
Last year,
yeah. So every 2 months we would receive the bill. And then the only kind of comments I thought of was we didn't know that you get charged per billing period. It's basically $5 a month. And we didn't know about that in the calculation, so that's one thing, one issue that in terms of learning about the reality of it.
So explain, what's the delivery charge?
There's a charge on your hydro bill.
Like you would do on your regular.
So on the money you get in, you're still billed with the delivery charge.
$5, that same delivery charge you would see on your regular hydro bill. That
because you're using wires.
Yeah.
The other direction, no.
Hydro Ottawa is charging them for using the wires.
$5. And can that go
that's
up?
amazing.
Or is that...
Yeah, see, I bet it could go up.
They couldn't be rich.
So that was one thing we didn't know about. And the other one is we're still having issues with home insurance.
We've got it mostly covered.
Like in terms of the calculation on the amount made on how much we're making from the panels, we're unclear on how much we're really going to pay in home insurance because that just wasn't sort of sorted out. So I'm sorry I went right to the negatives. I guess I went right for I wanted to spend time this week thinking of things we didn't know when we put in the panels that are important in your calculations, right? Yeah.
Is the insurance issue just because you have to insure for the value of the system and that boosts your insurance?
There were 3
They also didn't know how to handle it.
at the beginning. It was so new, and
who are you with?
I don't have the name
Because
on the top of my head.
I'm not saying they would be better, but Cooperators has a policy to be the greenest insurance company, so it'd be really interesting for me, for instance, because I'm a Cooperators customer, is to approach them and say, how are you handling this? Because they have a whole part, like if you have a hybrid, you get a lower cost for your insurance.
We know that Blair, or the house right there, doesn't have the same problem with their insurance, so it's just a matter of something we need to sort out more than
the
an actual
insurance
real problem, right? There's a solution out there. It's just we have to get the right kind of coverage.
I pay like a $50 rider because your house is actually worth more because if it burns down, that array is going to be destroyed.
So quick question, the 100-foot wells, do you actually extract
Geothermal?
Do you actually extract heat from the ground, or is it like more of a place where you're putting the summer's heat or the day's heat and then extracting out of it?
The coils have a food grade based glycol
Okay.
through it, and so in the winter, for example, it's cool.
Okay.
It gets down, it gets warmed by the earth, and then comes back in warmed, and that then inside a furnace, there's a compressor, much like your fridge has a compressor.
Right, okay.
Would cool or heat.
Yeah.
So
it
it extracts it. Yeah.
And then in the summer you're taking the cool water.
The heat, yeah, it's hot, so it's get heated, goes down a loop, comes back cool, just like, again, that's exactly like a fridge.
And so how big is the tank?
The reservoir, there is no reservoir, it's just 3 loops.
Straight loops.
Yeah,
Three vertical,
it's one
down.
in the car and 2 in the backyard. And there's just a hole in the back of the house, and then our basement we just have tubes running across the ceiling. And then it's a forced air heating system, so it actually looks no different.
It's more like a radiator, if anything.
Yeah, the only difference is the example is you can't crank the heat for grandma. That was the so, it's cold, or for him. You can't say today we're going to crank the heat.
Yeah.
And we have to we monitor it very closely, or we go to emergency power. It's too fast, and auxiliary power, and then we end up paying for it.
So that's electrical, your backup?
Yeah.
We chose it at the time, but then again, gas prices are lower. We could convert it to auxiliary gas, but.
And then what temperature does the auxiliary kick
It's
in?
geothermal. It kicks in if there's a high. No, it can't sustain
Yeah.
the demand that we're asking on it. It can't meet the demand.
But I thought that geothermal didn't work below negative.
It works. We've had no problems. Yeah.
The problem is if you start tapping because you want it hotter right now, then you can hear it go.
Or
We
cool.
tend to size geothermal systems for about 80% of your max heat load. If they size it for that 1 week in January when you need max heat load, it'd be a lot more expensive.
Yeah, I looked at geothermal and that was then the backup was my problem.
The loops are expensive
So
because
that's-
they're on limestone.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't go for all.
Folks, I'd like to introduce Peter Glover. He's the marketing director over at Ottawa Solar Power Sales, and he's the one who's been helping Andrew, Adam, and I get names of people like these folks who are willing to talk to us about it. And he's going to be back at the hub at 1 McCormick to answer any final questions, and that's where we're having the refreshments. But we have 2 other stops. We're going to walk our bikes to the top of the hill, and then we have one other stop at Joan Asim's place, and she's going to talk to us about another aspect, and that's the energy co-op. So we're going to head up the hill, and thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
So I will mention, you'll notice 2 houses up is another solar system. The owner is away, and they're doing construction in the back, so you can feel free to look at it as you go by. But you'll see the mesh around the solar systems to the squirrels. So,
Thank you for
that's something to notice on this one as we go up the hill here.
That's
One thing about this array, before you go, there's wire mesh going around it. Squirrels, and this is one from and there's these dead squirrels and up squirrel, and there's one that was on the other side of the Queensway that you saw. I don't know if you did see it, but it was hard to see it.
Yeah.
We just put up. Yeah, they had
squirrel dies outside?
damage. Sorry?
Does the squirrel die?
No, we haven't found any. Yeah, lots of chewing. I think they eventually get a little shock and decide it's not that good idea anymore.
They find it right down.
So now we're putting up Behrend for every